Hello everybody and welcome back to another CRL Legends Division stream. Is Jedi back tonight for round 5 of the season here in Bahrain. That was a very bad intro because I've just come back from a meeting. I've just scoffed my food down, so I don't want to feel like I'm going to be sick by going too energetic, but it's time for that time of the week again, where we get another hopefully amazing Monday night race for you guys sitting at home to watch along with and enjoy. But without further ado, let's see what we can bring tonight. As 13 drivers, we should possibly, maybe, potentially have a 14th joining later on, but 13 to start the evening off isn't too shabby, as fair few Xbox drivers, in fact. We have the debut tonight for AMS Venzi, or we'll call him Venzi, for E-Season Mercedes alongside Tugger tonight. See what this race can bring us. We have the Rebel of Vince first on track here tonight. As yes, rest in peace to the dog, Buster. It'll be a special night for Max tonight with that, but I'll get on to the current Shahan. We don't have him on track yet, so when we go on track, or when he gets on track, we'll ride on board for his lap, but we'll ride on board with Vince first, as he sets up for his first lap of the qualifying session. Double check this guy hasn't added me. No, I don't see this guy added me. So Vince, onto his first lap of the session, crossing the line on the run now, down towards turn 1. Braking just before the 100-meter board, turn the car nicely in through turn 1, into turn 2 now, and then it's through turn 3, DRS open, on the run down to towards turn 4. And once you're through turn 4, you're to the end of the first sector. Through 5, 6, and 7, so it's 28-1. Now the run down the hill into turn 8, moving to the right hand side of the line to maximise track width. Through turn 8 now, using that outside curve a little bit to your advantage. Down into 9 and into 10, hard braking zone 1, which a lot of people do struggle with, but Vince making nicely through there. DRS open down the back straight in towards turn 11. We got a little bit of a tow from the Aston Martin off KZ Matty, but now up the hill he goes through 11, 12. Now into turn 13. It's 105.6 through the first 2 sectors for Vince. Now down the hill, maximise as much track width as he can into turn 14, and now round turn 15 as well. Now it's flat out, burn the rest of that battery to the line, DRS open to the line. It's a 27.399 as the opening lap of the qualifying session. Rocco next. What can he do? Into the crest a little bit, DRS open, as he had invalidated his lap. Thomas James at 1 minute 28.9. up into second position at the moment. Pacey Smasher will be next. So the line he goes to 1 minute 29.4 for him. Next is going to be the Mercedes of Tugger, so 1 minute 29.4 for him as well. Then we have the Ferrari of Ivanchek next. Rounding the final corner he goes. What can the Croatian do? DRS is open to the line, he goes. 1 minute 30.0 for him. KZ, nope. It's going to be Ninziks next. Down towards the final braking zone he goes, rounding the penultimate corner, rounding the final corner. And now it's DRS open. Race down to the line for him. And it's ahead of his teammate Ivanchek. Next is going to be KZ Mati, but we're going to see if we can get Rocco back in first. Let's go. KZ Mati coming down to the line. It's 27.7 for him. Max furthest forward of those out on track at the moment who have yet to set a lap time. So what's that? Fire Striker, I've just ate, so I still have the thing of pizza in the back of my throat, so I don't want to overdo it right now. But Max Barron down towards the final braking zone now. Venzi has gone fast as of 1 minute 26.742, but Max down to the line. It's a 1 minute 31.0. He's a second off Ivanchek. Nico has invalidated Fiora now on the Alpine, rounding the final corner. Down to the line, it's a 32.9 for him. Shankly next, what can he do? It's into fifth with a 1 minute 28.748. Is anyone doubling up their runs? I don't think there is. Well, Ninzi seems to be. Nico is obviously out on a push. Shankly 3 tenths down in the first sector. He's invalidated, in fact. Benzi would be on a push. Max, he's down in his time, so he's not. So yeah, Nico does look to be the next person out on track on a push here. Now Nico down the hill towards the final braking zone, rounding final corner, and now Nico to the line. DRS is open, goes into fifth with 1 minute 28.4. Behind him is Fiora, who's pushing this lap round. Slime Fiora goes into fourth with a 1 minute 27.975 for him. See if we can get Rocco back in yet. There he is. Now, Dinzig's during that did jump up ahead of Pacey Smasher and Tugger as well into 9th position now for him. Nico and Fiora both on in lap, so is Ninziks. Thomas James on a push, slightly getting impeded by Ivanchek in the Ferrari there, possibly 2/10 up for the Aston Martin in the first sector. So now DRS is open. So we'll have a look. We'll get him in. The driver in a moment, but now up to the end of sector 2 for Thomas James. He's almost 5/10 up. And he's flying in that Aston Martin now. But can he hold it together for the rest of the lap? So line 3/10 gain up in 7th position for him. As we have Tugger and KZ Matty both on laps as well. We'll see what Tugger can do. 1.5 seconds up in the 1.5 tenths up in the first sector. Can he find more time in the second? As I missed what that was. Trying to sort something out to get another driver in. We're to the end of the final lap now. We're to the end of the lap now for Tugger. Using that DRS open. Finds 4.5 tenths and he's up into 9th position. KZ Matty will be next by the looks of things. And he's going to get possibly a little bit of a toe of his teammate. 3 thousandths in the first sector for him. Can he find more time in the second and third? Okay, so Matty rounding the final corner to finish off his lap. DRS is open and to the line. He finds just under 3/10 off his second on that lap. Vince now 4/10 up for him in the first two sectors. What can he find in the final sector? DRS is open to the line. 5/10 gain. Can still only go second. So we now have the racing balls of Rocco jumping Fiora. He's exactly 3/10 off KZ Matty now. What we have Venzi 5/100ths up in the first sector. We'll come back to him though because we have Pasty Smasher who's 2 thousandths down in the first two sectors on a lap. But can he pull the lap together at the end here? It's the line. He finds 3/10. So now we have Venzi 3/10 up in the first two sectors. It's a very good lap from the Mercedes at the moment. But now down the hill he goes towards final braking zone. Through the penultimate corner. And now into the final corner. And now it's flat out to the line. And Venzi opens the gap up by another half a second. So 1 minute 26.241 for the Mercedes car. Fiora is about to start a lap with Vanchek. Going slow to let people through there. Aston Martin off KZ Matty into the pits. Vince seems to be on a slow lap as well. Rocco hasn't validated his lap. Vanchek isn't pushing, Pasty Smasher isn't pushing. So Max, who's just under 3/10 down in the first sector, is going to be next. Into turn 10 he goes. Not an optimal line through turn 10, but if it works, it works. Now DRS is open as he pulls to the left hand side of the track. Not sure what's going on there. But now, up the hill he goes. To the end of the second sector. He's 3.2 seconds down, so he's bailed out of this lap. As Venti isn't on a push lap either. Ninzig's is a couple of tenths up in the first sector, a tenth a bit up through the second. Fiora, not sure what the delta is there for Fiora. But Ninzig's, keep an eye on what he can do. Still a line is a gain of 2 3/4 tenths and up into P10, but now Fiora setting off on a lap here. Deep into turn 1, that's not going to be ideal when Fiora's losing the rear end a little bit. As I is backing out of this push lap, not going to try anything stupid this time round. Have a look at Max, who was a 10.5 up in the first sector, now down into turn 10 he goes. That was much better this time around, and the DRS is now open down towards turn 11. As we'll see what you can do at the end of the second sector. It's almost 7 tenths up. Then Validator in turn 13, that's unfortunate there. As who's going to be next down to the line? Thomas James is on, Nico's out, Fiora's out as well, but Thomas James is the lead of these. Van Check is out of the session now. As the session's over now, and Shankly's going to be first to the line. As he loses time, he can't find anything. Pasty Smash, his teammate, has invalidated his lap. KZ Matty, can he find time? As Max will start from P13. KZ Matty seems to have bailed out on this lap. Yeah, KZ Matty's out of this lap. Thomas James is out of his lap as well. Fiora isn't pushing Venzi. What can he do? Up the hill. He's down. Ninzix is also down. Tugger is also up. So Tugger's actually finding time here. As now, Tugger, the only driver who looks to be able to improve. Can he go ahead of Ninzix? Or will he stay behind Ninzix? We'll find out as now, to the line for Tugger. DRS open. He loses out in the final sector. And that is your starting grid. Venzi takes pole by 0.6 of a second over Vince. So there is your starting grid for the race. So let's go over drivers and constructors standings. After round 4, Rocco still leads, but over Vince, 13 points behind. Then it's Daniel, Fiora, Kayla, Martin, Ninzix, Fire Striker, Thomas James, Tucker, Roadrunner in the top 10. Then Spacey Smasher, Shankly, Lewis, Ivanchek, Dax, Keegan, Max, Perrin, Khalid, Volt, and RHK. Then it's Nico, Culvert, and Thomas, rounding off your standings. As for constructors, Aston Martin and Racing Bulls joint at the top on 84 points each. Mercedes 15 behind, then it's Williams, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, Haas, Sauber and Alpine scraping their way up the back to try and catch up. They're only 4 points behind Haas in 8th, however. And there's only 28 points between the top 6, so either end of the championship are in a good fight. Well, we're about to go racing here tonight in Bahrain. As lights out and away we go for the Bahrainian Grand Prix. And it's a good start from everyone at the front. But it is a very good start from Venzi, who's already clear into turn 1. Then it's Vince, then it's case of Matty, Rocco and Fiora going wheel to wheel through the first 3 corners. Rocco just getting ahead. Nico and Shankly both starting on the soft compound of tyres. Kayla Matty's on the hards, Thomas James on the hards and Max Parent on the hards. Everyone else taking the medium tyres. Shankly round the outside of Thomas James. There's an Alpine of Fiora off the track there. He's down to 10th now. He rejoins just ahead of Pacey Smasher. Shankly and Thomas James will continue going wheel to wheel. Tugger is going to try and send it down the inside further back on Fiora. And Pacey Smasher is there trying to make anything happen he can off all of that. We have this, so we have the 2 Maxes, 12th and 13th, going at it with each other. Max goes deep. Max Perrin couldn't benefit off it. Further up ahead though, Toga is having a battle with the two Kicksalbers. Fiora is trying to make his way back up the grid. Nico up to 4th already on them soft tires, but they're going to die off relatively quickly as the two Maxes have been passed by Ivanchik. Max Perrin now up ahead of the other Max. And first lap is starting to come to an end now, as we have Venzi already a second ahead of Vince near enough. Kaiser Matty's another 1.6 behind them, and he's come under pressure now from, you gotta love Nico. Nico has a little look and someone decides against it, then goes for it, as Nico deep on the brakes, locking up on the brakes. Couldn't quite get ahead, as Rocco is going to stand behind and watch this unfold, as Ninzig's now putting pressure on Thomas James. Mediums versus the hards. Fiora is going to try and make a move on Shankly behind. Up and it goes the Hungarian, as Kaiser, Matty and Nico going wheel to wheel through the start of the second sector. Rocco just waiting for anything here. Nico is going to send it down the inside into turn A. Has he gone deep? Kaiser Matty looks for the switchback, makes the switchback. Nico still wheel to wheel with him. Nico ends up backing out eventually. He's going to try around the outside of 9 into 10. He can't. Can he get a switchback though? Kaiser Matty holds firm with his line, but Nico has the DRS. And the more they battle, the more they're losing out to the top two. Vince struggling to stay on the DRS of Venzi. Ninzig's up ahead of Thomas James. Rocco now getting past Nico. As Nico, where's he off to? He's off the track and he's dropping down the grid into 9th position. As it was right as we switched away from them, so something's happened there. Now Rocco can try his best to chase down KZ Matty, but he's got Ninzig's herring down behind him. Vince 1 minute 30.8 fastest lap of the race so far. Vince in second, chasing him down as much as he can. As Fiora passes Ninzig's past Thomas James, can he hang around the outside into turn 2 on the inside? Thomas James will keep trying to fight it back on the hard tyres. Can he though? He has got the DRS. He's going to have the inside for turn 4. Fiora with the superior straight line speed. Thomas James is going to try and make a move happen though. Fiora will hold firm with his line and make it up past 4 P6 in this race. It's Kaiser Matty and Rocco going at it through sector 2 now. And we see Nico drop down to 9th and now down to 10th from similar last lap. Rocco won't make the same mistake as Nico did. He's going to sit calmly in behind Kaiser Matty until he gets a better chance, which might be now with the DRS, if he can get close enough, which he can't get close enough. Fiora now closing in on them, he's bringing people along with them. Nico down to 11th now behind Pasty Smasher. And Nico's race just starting to slightly fall apart here. Venzi 1.7 ahead of Vince now. Rocco in 4th, chasing down KZ Matty. KZ Matty is 5.2 away from Vince now. So the top two on a bit of a different level here in this race, as KZ Matty pulls to the very inside, Rocco to the outside. KZ Matty will come back across. Rocco is going to move to the inside, decides against it. And all while this is happening, Fiora behind is just waiting to make anything happen out of this. Shankly and Ninzig's going wheel to wheel. This bit of contact, Ninzig's not really leaving much room there for Shankly. Shankly will look to the inside on the run. As KZ Matty, 10-second corner cutting penalty. Is where is he off to? He's gone off the track completely. He's down to 5th and he's got a 10-second penalty now. What's happened there to the Polish driver is unbeknownst to us. As Nico and Tugger gone wheel to wheel in turn 8, Pasty Smasher and Ivanchik just sitting in behind them. And then the two Maxes at the back. Nico makes it up past Tugger, and now he's going to try and set his sights out for Shankly up ahead, the other soft runner from the start. As what on earth happened to KZ Matty there? Was it contact or what? I'm not sure. He's now down in 5th position from 3rd, and Rocco leads the battle for the final podium paying position. And this is going to be an interesting one now, as two drivers who are up in the championship fight. Rocco, the championship leader, in 3rd, and he's coming under pressure from Fiora now. And Fiora will make his way up into 3rd, but can Rocco stick with him and try and make something happen in this race? A bit of contact between the two of them. Fiora, though, starting to try and pull away now if he can. This is going to be an interesting race for 3rd place now, as again a little bit of contact between Fiora and Rocco. Not much to do, or not much I can be done about it, but the Italian Venzi leads the race, and he'll continue to lead the race. The gap now to 3.1 seconds to Vince in 2nd. Vince has almost 7 seconds to Fiora in 3rd. KZ Matti 2.1 behind Rocco, sitting in 5th at the moment. Then Thomas James leads the DRS train all the way back to Ivanchek down in 12th position. So 6th down to 12th, a bit of a DRS train going on here. As people start to open up, and then all closes right back up again. And that is just how the race is at the moment. Let's see how this race pans out. But there's a yellow flag, and it's Nico. Has he got a puncture? He hasn't got a puncture, he just was off the track. Now Nico has a lot to do in this race, as you'd think now it's possibly time to come off the softs for him. He's not had much luck on them. So Rocco and Fiora out in the lead. We'll continue to see them trying to do what they can do, as Nico, it's time for him to come off the softs. He avoids speeding in the pit lane penalty. It's always good to him, and I've just noticed that Max here 30 odd seconds, almost 40 seconds off the back of the car ahead of him, so quite the gap to make up on his debut here. We'll see what he can do. Remember, top 12 score points. At the moment, everyone down to Max Perron in them points paying positions, but everything can still change in this race, as Rocco is losing out to Fiora, but he'll try his best to see if he can stay in a position where he can catch up as the race continues. As Max Perron tackling the penalty for him, 3 seconds will be added on to his final finishing time. Not exactly what he would have been wanting in this race, if it has to be said, but Kizamati, since he's dropped behind on them hards, is struggling to do anything to gain the time back again. And that could be a problem for him, but he does have an almost 3 second lead to his teammate Thomas James, as that is the McLaren of Max. Going slow, he's gone deep into turn 8 as he's retired from session on track. And that is not condoned here. Renzi 4.2 out in the lead. This 6.3 back to Fiora from Vince. Fiora starting to close that gap up. We'll just have to see how this race can pan out as Shankly and Tugger close this battle on track. The only drivers in DRS of one another now. Let's see how that pans out. Well, we're just right on board with Shankly as he chases down Tugger. Still on the softer side of the race zone. As Rocco, Ninzig, Savanchek all in, have Ferrari double stacked their bad time as Savanchek is going to get held up in the pit stop, and that is not helpful in this situation. As now Max Perrin onto the soft on lap 9 here. Interesting choice. As Venzi continues to open up the gap little by little. As Tugger now past Pacey Smasher. Shankly still though. Past Shankly to a Pacey Smasher now. Deciding, or seeing what he can possibly do now. As this is the closest battle on track, and we'll see how this plays out. Let's see how this race can continue to play out as, well, a fair bit of time to still try and do, what's a fair bit of time to still go in this race as Venzi into the pits after 10 laps. He's onto the hards, and we'll see where he goes to with them as Vince now in the lead of the race. Fiora into second, Kesa Matti up to third. gets Tucker also in, and also onto the hard compound of tyres. And we'll see now how this race continues to play out. As Venzi is now 2/10 off Thomas James, we'll see how the Italian gets to work in dispatching drivers after his pit stop. And he sits right behind Thomas James into turn 11, makes the move, and makes it nice and clean in the process as well. As now down the hill, Fiora's into the pits now. And let's see what tyres the Hungarian puts on the car. It's hard tyres going on. Out of the pits he comes. And he'll come out in... It looks to be P5 as Rocco won't be able to get the move. Rocco went for the undercut, pitted a few laps earlier, but isn't going to be able to go ahead. And that attempted undercut from Rocco hasn't played out in his favour. As Rocco and Fiora now. Rocco with tyres up to temperature. Fiora needing to get temperature into his tyres. This is going to be interesting dynamic now. Rocco does have the slightly older tyres. Max Perrin, time penalty for him. Nico's left the session, so Nico's been disconnected. We'll see if we can get him back in. If we can find him. As we can't find him online. So we'll sort that out eventually. Vince and Thomas James both into the pits. They're back out of the pits again. As Rocco goes for a lunge into turn 1. And he's going to get the move, and he's going to get ahead of Fiora. Does he have the DRS? Back he does. Does Fiora have the straight line speed? So Rocco up into 4th position. Kizamati still to pit. There's a new fastest lap coming in there for Venzi once again, as somewhere expected. He's closing the gap to Kizama. He's going to take the lead back on track before the pit stops are even completed. That is how much he's pushing on in this race tonight. On debut. This is going to be a dominant display on debut here, as it's now 9 seconds the gap to Vince. And that's how much the undercut helps out in this game. this year. As Fenzi dives Kazamati again into 11, which he did to Thomas James, the other Aston Martin a few laps back, up until the race lead again. And now, when does Kazamati pit? Does he go for the one stop, in fact? Could be a possibility. So let's see how this fares now. Kazamati on his pit, but when does he pit? You're behind Rocco, but can he catch Rocco and re-overtake? He has the fresher tyres. Rocco's tyres are double his age, but we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of questions in this race. Max Brown, another time penalty for him. That's just how his race is turning out to be. But now, Thomas James on mediums, he's going to have to pit again in this race. That is pretty much confirmed at this point. How long can he go before he pits again? That's a big question. As Fiora and Rocco switching positions, Rocco trying to hold the lead. Rocco has the DRS, he's got the outside line. Fiora will just have to settle for 5th place again. And their battle is starting to become a good one here. Let's see how it continues to play out. How this race's dynamic plays out for the rest of it. Nico in the pits again, so we've been able to get him back in. Is he back online yet or not? As Rocco and Fiora battling for P4, also battling for championship places. And Vince down in 3rd, provisionally 2nd, is also in this championship fight. Rocco needs the position over Fiora to prevent Vince closing by more points. Vince is currently, as it stands, gaining 10 points. But let's see how this all plays out towards the end of this race, as we have 12.5 laps to go of this race. As Nico and Max Perrin having a battle for the final points position. Ivanchek is just on the back of Pasty Smasher. That's for 10th place. Rocco and Fiora in the battle for provisional 3rd. A lot going on, but not everything will play off how people want it to play off. So we just have to keep an eye on how things go, as Kizamati is now into the pits, and I think he will have to serve a 10-second penalty. Really? He does have to serve the 10 seconds here. So Kizamati is going to lose a lot of time to those around him. Could even drop behind his teammate here. He will drop behind his teammate. Will he drop behind Ninzix or Shankly? He's going to be close with Ninzix. Ninzix is going to go ahead of him. Will Shankly go ahead? Shankly will go ahead. So Kizamati down to 8th for that 10-second penalty, which had to serve in the pits. Max with a 10-second track limit penalty now. As Venzi lapping him and Nico. That's Max's race. Going from bad to worse here is Venzi. 13.8 out ahead of Vince. Max with another 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. So now Kizamati on the mediums has a lot to do in this race. Kizamati jumping up into 6th as Rocco's in for hard tyres. Now Rocco, an interesting strategy here with 10 laps to go. Max with another 10-second time penalty down at 13th, losing a lot of time now. 2, Nico ahead. And well, let's have a look at the penalties. 37 seconds, oh lord. That's not good. He's not far away from a disqualification at this rate. As Ivanchek letting Rocco through. Rocco on the much fresher tyres. Ivanchek not bothering our fighter as Max is off into the wall at turn 10. That's not where he would have wanted to be going. And now, see how the rest of the race pans out for the Racing Bulls team, as Rocco now has a lot to do, assuming that the likes of Fiora doesn't pit. This is more yellow flags for Max. We'll just have to see how all this plays out now. As Ninzix into the pits. Where will he come out in this situation? We'll just have to wait and see. So he's going to come out behind his Ferrari teammate Max. 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So everything's starting to just fall apart a little bit for them. And now, up the hill Fiora goes. Venzi has been into the pits again. Vince has the lead of the race now. Does Vince pit again? And can Fiora try and close in on Venzi? A few questions all to be asked. As Max has been disqualified from the session, how many penalties did he have? Gonna have to find out at the end of the race. Venzi, fastest lap of the race, as he's now 4.7 away from Vince. Vince gonna have to play into another gear. Vince as fast as his 7/10 off from Venzi's. That is the difference we're seeing in this race between two of them. And these are the front two fighting it out. The race win here tonight. As everyone now is guaranteed points. Ivanchuk into the pits. Mediums onto his car and he's back out of the pits again. He'll come out in 11th place, and so he has time to chase down Shankly and Lindsay's ahead of him. Rocco leads a bit of a battle for P6. As Pasty Smasher and Tugger both chasing down Rocco. Tugger does have a 3-second time penalty. Venzi 1:30.4, new fastest lap of the race. He's flying in his pursuit to catch Vince out in the race lead now. That just shows the difference in pace here tonight. As Thomas James into the pit off the medium tyres. We'll see what he can do now. Thomas James onto the softs, interestingly. We've seen people do it on heavy fuel loads at the start of the race, so he's feeling that he can do it now at the end of the race. As Pasty Smasher and Tugger go wheel to wheel, right on board with Pasty Smasher will go to an off-board view. Pasty Smasher up ahead of Tugger. Tugger will have to settle for P7 and he's going to have to try and hold 3 seconds to Thomas James if he wants to keep P7 by the end of the race. It's 4 or so seconds between them. Tugger is now going to try and launch an attack on Pasty Smasher, and these two battling are going to let Thomas James catch up behind. And the more they battle, the more he'll catch up behind. And Tugger will lose that position if it continues. There's Vince now into the pits. What tyres is he going on to? He's giving Vinzi the lead up this race. Hard tyres for Vince. The last few laps. Vinzi now has a 9.2 second gap in the front. He's going to continue to open up that gap as Kaiser Matti now back up into the podium contention here. As that. So how Kaiser Matti, what could have been for Kaiser Matti if his race could have gone better tonight? There's now Rocco just behind Vince. This is giving Rocco a chance at P4 again. Thomas James is just on the back of Tugger now. Venzi 29.7 fastest lap off the race. So now we're right on board with the Racing Bulls. Lap 25 of 29 here. So Rocco chases down Vince and we'll see what they can do. Can they go to battle? Can Rocco jump ahead of his championship contender? Tugger 3-second time penalty. That is surely a race over for him now against Ninzix, unless Ninzix picks up a 3-second. But then Ninzix has some much fresher tyres in the situation. Rocco just can't get close enough to Vince here. And this could be the story of Rocco's season now falling apart. Drivers coming in and putting the pressure on him. And in the football, Casemiro has made it 1-0. Yes, I have also got the football on at the same time, but Casemiro scoring at Old Trafford in what could be his final season, big moment for him. Pace smasher, can't catch up to Thomas James. Them softs, that call for the softs, working out nicely for the Brit. Rocco really now struggling to do anything in this race. seconds. Now Vince has a time penalty, and if Rocco can stay within that penalty window in the next 2.5 laps, P4 is Rocco's, and that gap between him and Vince opens up once again. Further back, however, Pacey Smasher, Tugger and Ninzix all in a battle for P7. Tugger really not in it with that penalty, but he's going to try to get dragged along if he can. Up the hill we go, Ninzix chasing Pasty Smasher. Can anything come off this? As our race leader, Vinzi, is on the penultimate lap of the race, and he's not far off going on to the final lap of the race, in fact. See how this race plays out. So, between these two, because we know what is going to want to happen. We know Ninzix is going to want to climb his way past Pasty Smasher, Shankly and Tugger, swapping positions there. A little bit further back. But your race leader Venzi is on the final lap of this race. And what a race Venzi has had. Ninzix and Pasty Smasher collide in turn 9. Pasty Smasher off the road, down into 10th position. That will most likely be reported post-race by Pasty Smasher. Racing incident by the looks of things though. Pasty Smasher now up into 9th past Tugger. He's going to get Shankly, his teammate, on penalties, but he's going to be fuming that he's missed out on a possible P7 against Ninzix there. But there's still 1 lap to go. And if Shankly decides to go fully to battle Ninzix here, there's still a chance for Pasty Smasher. But Venzi is entering the final sector now. He took pole by 6/10 of a second in qualifying. And he's now going to win the race. He's currently got an 18.1 second gap out of the front. It's slightly closer, it's around 18 seconds. But Venzi, on debut, will go on to win the Bahrainian Grand Prix, and he'll finish it off in the pit lane. Fiora in second place here has done a superb drive after dropping so far back on the first lap. Fiora will cross the line to finish 15.1 behind in second position. Matti, 10-second time penalty for him. No need to worry though. He's put on a spectacular race for us as well, and his recovery drive up into third is one that will be remembered for a long time. Matti finishes third. Vince will spin across the line to finish in fourth. Rocco, dropping points yet again to Vince, will finish in fifth. As Shankly and Ninzix going wheel to wheel here. What does Shankly do for his teammate? He's going to shove Ninzix to the inside of the track as much as he can. Ninzix will try to go to the outside. Shankly is going to do whatever he can for his teammate here. So Thomas James is crossing 6th. Shankly will cross in 7th. Ninzix will take 7th. Pasty Smasher in 8th. Shankly in 9th. Tugger will finish in 10th. Ivanchek will cross the line in 11th. And Nico in 12th position. And that is your race results here tonight. Once more, here is the race results. Venzi 29.7 fastest lap of the race. Fiora in second. Kazabati in third. Then as Vince, Rocco, Thomas James, Ninzig, Pacey Smasher, and Shankly. Tugger in 10th. Vanchak in 11th. Nico in 12th. Max disqualified in 13th. And then the other Max in 14th who DNF'd. That's everything for this week's race. Next week, we head to Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix here in Legends Division. Until then, take care and goodbye.